When the man comes knocking at your door, the ethical dilemma of debt collection by Michael Gatlin and Martha Jones. Law 2150, Section 116, Appalachian State University, December 2nd, 2014. When the term debt collector is brought up, many instantly think of a menacing mobster toting a Tommy gun that has no second thoughts on breaking someone's kneecaps in order to collect the debt owed. However, debt collection is a legitimate business in today's world. What is debt collection? When an individual owes a company debt, this company typically hires a third party to collect these debts. This third party is typically an organization that specializes in debt collection. As many U.S. citizens have felt the repercussions of hard economic times, debt collection has gained both more use and increased scrutinization. In this presentation, we will discuss how far some debt collectors are willing to go to collect debts and the ethical dilemmas these actions can ensue. When researching debt collection, we came across several interesting cases that have taken place involving ethical aspects in debt collection. The first case is a class action suit filed by Ruth Moya and over 100 credit card users against J.P. Morgan Chase & Company and all subsidiary companies. Chase Credit Card Company collected credit card debts owed by thousands of card users by creating fraudulent signatures of card owners in order to obtain default judgments regarding card owners' debts. This class action is currently in process, but it is clear that Chase has committed many unethical actions in order to obtain debts. Another case we found involves the unethical action of two individual debt collectors, Frank E. Lindstrom and Kevin Medley. Lindstrom and Medley were the owners of the debt collection company Rumson, Balling and Associates. Lindstrom and Medley were found leaving menacing voicemails and phone calls to debtors, using obscene language, threatening the well-being of the debtor and relatives, and even threatening to desecrate the bodies of deceased relatives. Rumson, Balling and Associates was immediately shut down by the court and had all assets frozen. The court found Lindstrom and Medley in violation of multiple aspects of the FDCPA, which will be discussed later in the presentation. The final case found involves voicemails and confidentiality issues. Abraham Zwingenhaft was left a voicemail by Receivables Performance Management requesting to call back immediately. However, Zwingenhaft's son called back instead. Zwingenhaft's son was informed about his father's debt and asked for Mr. Zwingenhaft to call back to discuss further. Zwingenhaft sued Receivables Performance Management for disclosing confidential information to the public, being his son. This case raises the question of how debt collectors can either take the ethical route of leaving passive informative calls rather than malicious, threatening phone calls.
We chose ethics because it's something all of our business classes have touched on. It's also something businesses are focusing on. Businesses have realized that a company with good ethics is more successful than a company without ethics. They have also realized that consumers like to talk to people that have ethics. The law to support our issue is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. It is regulated under the Federal Trade Commission. Section 806 defines the harassment and abuse that the Act would consider illegal. Threats or the use of violence, like kicking in kneecaps, obscene language, a publication of the debtors in a list or letter or knowledge to other people, the selling of a debt to another person or a company, or purposely annoying the debtor by telephone. Section 807 states that the collection agencies can't falsify information about the debt. Section 808 states the unfair practices such as telling a debtor that the debt is more than it is worth in order to obtain a profit, depositing post-dated checks early, or causing the debtor to pay the communication fees, like postage stamps. In an article we read by Lauren Goldberg, she stated that the FDCPA protects the debtor's privacy and property. In the 1600s, if you owed money to someone, they would come to take your property. Now a debt collector can only collect your property if that is the only way you can pay it off. Goldberg also pointed out that the collection agencies can only contact you at certain parts of the day, and they also can't contact you while you are at work. This protects your privacy. In the Zwingenhaft case, there was an issue of communication. Receivables Performance Management stated that they were a debt collector from the start. They did not know that they were talking to Zwingenhaft's son. It was ethical for Receivables Performance Management to call, but they should not have stated the name with a debt. The son should also not have called back since it was not his message. This was not an abusive call like the Zwingenhafts accused them of, but yet a passive one, which is why Receivables Performance Management won the case. We feel that the FDCPA is an effective act. It should be continued to be closely monitored by the FTC in order to keep the rights of the debtor private.
In conclusion, debt collection companies are legitimate organizations that are hired out by other companies to pursue debts owed. While many debt collection companies operate a respectful business, there are several examples of companies using highly unethical means to pursue debts, such as leaving angry voicemails threatening to kick an individual's dog. Many steps are being taken at this time through the FTA to help streamline the actions of debt collection companies, such as the creation of the FDCPA. We hope you enjoyed our presentation and have learned about modern-day debt collection and the ethical aspects of this business. Here is a list of our resources. Thank you.